Hello, my name is Hannah McCulley, and this is my presentation speech, or my persuasive speech. My topic is homeschooling versus public schooling, and my specific purpose for this is to persuade my classmates and my audience that homeschooling your children is a better alternative for their education. Now, just picture it, a space where your child's needs are recognized and addressed, where their challenges are met with patience as well as understanding, where they can get exactly the help they need on an individual level. Now imagine who's providing this for your children. It's you. And this is the great thing about homeschooling. I was homeschooled my entire education, and it was amazing. I can now look back and really appreciate the decisions that were made for me to be homeschooled. When I was younger, I didn't really look too deeply into it, and it was just what we did as a family. But as I got older, I couldn't imagine ever going to a brick and mortar school. I was even given the option to go to a public school for my high school career, and I rejected it. I had no interest in walking crowded halls and waking up early, or being in classes with distracting kids or disinterested kids, or even a disinterested teacher. Why would I do that when I could wake up each morning, walk out to my dining room table, and sit in my pajamas and work on whatever subject I felt I needed to work on? I could work at my own pace as well. Now, homeschooling has so many benefits to it, and it can help family relationships thrive, friendships thrive, and it can help your child grow emotionally as well as socially. Again, I was homeschooled through my entire education, from kindergarten to my junior year of high school, due to graduating a year early. And personally, I loved it. I felt as though I had the world at my fingertips. Over the years, my mom would pull multiple different curriculums to adjust to what fit me and my siblings. Some years we did online school, some years we would purchase different curriculums to tailor to whatever we needed help with and to tailor to our learning interests. Now, as I said a moment ago, families can grow together due to homeschooling, and this is because they spend more time together. An article by Financial Samurai, published on February 13th, 2021, states that the average mother spends about 120 minutes with their child per day, and the average father only spends about 85 minutes per day with their child. And homeschooling can change that to where the parents are the main characters in a child's life. Now, I want to step into something that's a little harder to talk about, and that's how the public schools are filled with violence and stress. My first topic on this is school shootings. And they're very real and very threatening, and they're always happening. On November 19th, 2024, Education Week updated its school shooting tracker and found that there have been 36 school shootings this year. Now, it blows my mind that we even have to have school shooting trackers. But these acts of terror are not to be taken lightly, and the children need to be protected and safe at all times. I have a quote from my personal friend, Rebecca McClelland, and she says, quote, "In first grade, before I knew how to read and write, I knew how to hide from an active shooter." Now, homeschooling is a surefire way to make sure that your children are not a victim of a public school shooting. Now, I also want to talk about the fights in public schools. Fights are also not uncommon, and they're always happening. A CBS article by Christina Rex talks about how fights are at a rise, and social media has a big part in why. These children are recording the videos of these fights and posting them on social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media sites. And these kids are getting views from these videos and adrenaline rushes, so they continue to happen. Now, taking a step back from the violence in the schools, I want to talk about the teachers. They're going through stress and burnout, and they're quitting because of it. They're having to pick up the slack because of the lack of educators in the buildings, and they're not getting any kind of accommodations for it. The teachers are exhausted, and they're not at their peak level, and they're not able to support the children in the way that they need. If the teachers are not at 100%, the children are not going to have the materials, that they need to pass the courses and pass their classes. An article by Devlin Peck said on January 11th, 2024, that more than 300,000 public school teachers and other education-related staff left their jobs between February 2020 and May 2022. As well as another article that was published on March 18th, 2022 by Tim Walker with Me Today. He says that teachers have real struggles in the classrooms and students are physically violent or disruptive, and there's literally nothing that the teachers can do about it. Teachers either quit or they get fired because of the rigid ways that they are forced to act in the classrooms and the ways that they are able to teach in the classrooms as well. There's no room for their own moral compasses anymore. Now, I want to talk about some of the benefits of homeschooling. Homeschooled kids can learn at their own pace and develop more mature and responsible attributes. Homeschooled students can learn based on their academic knowledge and their academic interests as well. And many kids thrive when they can learn about a topic in a way that interests them. And also, working at their own pace is key to great learning, because the student doesn't have to work to keep up with other kids in a class or deadlines. They also have a lot of flexibility. The parents have the freedom to let their children experience more than also just the classroom. They don't have to sit in a classroom at a desk for 8 hours a day. They have so many more opportunities for these kinds of things, like joining co-ops and learning with like-minded families, or going to homeschooling classes that are everywhere. They have homeschooling classes at local zoos and local museums. And even just going outside and learning is a huge thing for these children. They also have opportunities to volunteer and serve the community, or just being able to be at home and learn life skills and learning how to function in a family is great for them as well. Now again, I'd like to point out that they have a lot of flexibility and resources. Parents have flexibility in what they educate their children and how they educate, and even when they educate their children. And the resources for homeschoolers are a lot better nowadays than they used to be. Now we have online education, online curriculums, co-ops and homeschooling groups, and so much more. Now, in conclusion, the public schools are struggling and they're not very safe. And homeschooling makes sure that your kids are safe and that they are well taught on the topics that they need for life. Now, I know that homeschooling is not feasible for some, but I ask you to take it into serious consideration. Again, I was homeschooled for my entire life, and it was the best thing for me. Thank you for your time and for listening to my argument.